Are you deep in frustration, or perhaps even worse, maybe defeated, trying to break the weight loss plateau? It can be maddening, infuriating, because we can be riding high, elated with our weight loss progress, for a stretch of time, and then bam, it turns to deflated energy as we're in that spirit-sapping place called a weight loss stall, or a no man's land of weight loss, or weight loss plateau. This is Bayview McDermott, and founder of Shift Formula. In this video, we're going to take a look at the purpose and the principles of a plateau, and then 3 simple actions you can take to move you through it. Now, before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this video or this channel, and that way, when I make more videos like this, you'll get notified. Okay, understanding a weight loss plateau comes down to these 2 simple pieces of science: homeostasis and hormones. Well, when it comes to homeostasis, our body works to help us survive. And homeostasis is a lot about adapting or being able to acclimate. So homeostasis is like an acclimation mechanism where our body adapts by responding to external stimuli, stress that we put on our bodies. Well, homeostasis principle for weight loss has to do with these 2 things. When you are pursuing weight loss by reducing the amount of nutrients that you're bringing into your body, you're reducing calories. That first thing that will happen is your body will actually reduce its metabolism. So metabolism is just a term that refers to all the different processes in your body. And when you start depriving, your body registers your reduction in food, that reduction in calories. It responds by conserving energy. So metabolism refers to the collective amount of energy for all the natural body processes, and it will conserve that. Okay, so if we slow down our body's processes, we notice what? We actually require what? We require less energy. We require less fuel. Okay, so less fuel is needed when our metabolism, our energy output drops down. Okay, so that's the first piece of science in that homeostasis piece. I'm trying to make sure you can see okay. And then the other side of that is this. We actually have an uptick in fuel, not release, but in fuel conservation. Conservation of energy. Fuel is energy, right? And food is energy, and our body fat stores. Our body fat that we're carrying on our body is fuel, and your body's going to start to conserve that. So metabolism is going to drop, so you require less fuel. It's matching what you're doing to yourself. Eating less food and less fuel, your body's like, oh, well, that's all we're getting, so I'm going to just drop my energy need down to meet or match what this gal is putting or not putting into her body. And on top of that, I'm going to conserve the fuel that I'm carrying, right? So this is going to be release less fuel. So your body is going to hold on to your body fat when you are on a calorie-restricted quest. And this is where a weight loss plateau can occur. Interesting thing is, when this metabolism lowers, that's when you feel your energy crashes. Your energy, just like this arrow here, your energy drops. But look at this arrow going up. Guess what increases? Because your body wants to hold on to its fuel, its fat stores, what happens here is that cravings for quick, short energy increases. You notice that when you are dieting or trying to lose weight and eating differently or less, cravings can really kick in like crazy because it's all a part of this homeostasis mechanism. Now moving forward, we can actually bypass all of that crazy get through it when we understand how powerful hormones influence our body's ability to burn body fat or store more body fat. And it all comes down to, I'm going to use red now because we're talking about what's floating around in our bloodstream. And the first is all about BS. And that stands for blood sugar. Could be the other thing too, but it's blood sugar. And that powerful hormone is insulin. The interesting thing, I use that word interesting a lot. Insulin is the body fat regulator. When insulin levels are elevated within us, or we're in an insulin dominant kind of state, body fat is locked down, which is happening during this. Okay? Body fat is locked down. But when insulin levels are low, or we're in an insulin like deficit kind of a state, that's when body fat burning can happen naturally. It's so easy once you understand the science of that. But the other hormone is involved with stress. Is it any wonder that we hit weight loss plateaus? I mean, hello. Usually a quest for body fat reduction can feel stressful, right? Lots of changes going on and sometimes a lot of sacrifice. But stress is going to influence that hormone, cortisol, that fight or flight hormone. And why is it that cortisol, why is it that stress can be such a saboteur when it comes to weight loss? Well, when we get stressed, cortisol is released. If you're emotionally reacting to a situation, so cortisol is released for that fight or flight mechanism. Well, if you're ready to fight a foe or flee from a foe, your body needs quick-acting energy, right? The quickest acting energy is sugar. So cortisol actually triggers your liver through a couple different other hormones involved in there, but your liver will release stored glycogen, glucose, into your bloodstream. And when sugar is in an elevated amount, more than 1 teaspoonful in our bloodstream, insulin's going to come into action to take care of that. Insulin's got to open up the cells of your body to allow the sugar in so you can even do the energy fueling run from the foe. So when it comes to a weight loss plateau and trying to break through it, it's powerful to understand that first of all, homeostasis acts as an acclimation. It gives your body will react to what you're doing to it. That's why we always say one of the best things to do is to kind of eat up. But eat up in such a way that you keep insulin down, because these hormones certainly act as an accomplice in that weight loss plateau struggle. Okay, move on to the next part where we look at 3 simple strategies you can take to break through it. Okay, now that you understand some of the principles behind weight loss plateaus, in particular homeostasis and those hormones, we can launch into some strategies. You know, you have your foundation, and then you can stand upon that knowledge and put some actual right action, rather than a lot of action that gets us nowhere. Actual right action will move you past your plateau. Okay, just remember that hovering in that place of no more further weight loss, however there's not weight gain, it's allowing your body to get acclimated to its new normal. But here's some strategies we can look at to push us through that, okay? First thing, if you are incorporating activity or exercise, you know, with our Shift Insiders, we don't see exercise necessarily as a calorie user-upper. We see exercise strategically as a way to break insulin resistance, because any of us who are in a situation where we're trying to lose weight, we are most likely in some degree of insulin resistance. I mean, insulin is that powerful fat regulating hormone, so the more often we can break insulin's presence inside of us, the more our body's able to use the body fat. We're not losing body fat, we're going to use that body fat, right? So exercise strategically to reduce insulin levels comes down to being sporadic. As we say with homeostasis, our body adapts quite beautifully to changing environmental factors or stimuli. So when we're putting activity in our day, strategically for weight loss or to move through a plateau, we want to think about frequency. how often we are doing an activity, changing up. So for example, if I'm walking to put activity in my day, and I'm walking 3 times a week, I might try and do 4 to 5 times a week, or maybe even twice a day, one in the early hours and one in the later hours. So think about how you can change up the frequency of your activity, okay? The second thing we can put in, kind of like, again, we are doing something sporadic, we're doing something different, we're implementing some change because our body adapts to what it's used to, and we're trying to initiate some things that our body's not used to. So the second one is duration of the activity or the exercise. Could you walk a little bit longer, right? Increasing the length of time when we're actually doing that activity. And the third thing is the intensity. Intensity is an awesome way to change up your activity, and it doesn't have to mean that you constantly have to work so much harder. One of the best things to implement is like an interval. So if I was walking, I might walk a little more briskly to the next mailbox, and then I'd walk more naturally again to the next mailbox, and then brisk again. So kind of like this, a little bit more intense, a little less intense, a little more intense, a little less intense. And don't forget that not only is movement a great glucose sweeping action, and when glucose is swept into cells to be used up, insulin levels can drop after that, yes, but having muscles really stimulated with some push your weight around kind of activity, resistance work, weightlifting kinds of things, keeps our muscles stimulated. And stimulated muscles are wonderfully powerful at reducing insulin resistance because our body uses more glucose more readily. And insulin levels are able to drop again after we use that glucose up. Okay, so when it comes to exercise, think about changing up your frequency, your duration or length of time, and perhaps the intensity, okay? When it comes to eating, yeah, we can actually eat our way to weight loss, but it has to be strategic. The first one is in line with the exercise. The frequency of our feedings really makes a difference. And when we eat less frequently, we are oftentimes more so in a state of fasting. Fasting, when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, any human body is in a fasted state when insulin levels are low. There's that word again, it always pops up, because only when insulin levels are low can body fat burning be a go. And we can, just by eating less often, by eating less frequently, we're in more periods of time not eating, so insulin levels are down low. When insulin levels are down low, body fat burning is a go. So look at those less frequent feedings or fasting periods as the opportunity to really dig into using your body fat for fuel. One of the most powerful times is when we're asleep, right? And the eating should be fat focused. Why? Why should our eating be fat focused to work through a weight loss plateau? Well, because when we're eating fat focused, we're eating from the food macronutrient that least or doesn't at all stimulate insulin. Carbohydrate stimulates insulin 100% because all carbohydrate is BS. It's all blood sugar, and blood sugar stimulates insulin. Protein, when you're eating protein, it's really about getting just enough, like a moderate amount, because protein comes into our body and is used for building and repair. But we don't store extra protein. If we eat more protein than we need, it's going to be converted to glucose, more carbohydrate like sugar. That's going to be insulin stimulating. So fat is the one macronutrient that doesn't stimulate insulin. So eating fat focused not only doesn't stimulate insulin, but it actually fills us up. It doesn't make us feel full like all those carbohydrate eaters talk about, but it actually makes you full. And then you can go for hours of fasting or eating less frequently. Those of us who eat fat focused eat less frequently. Cool. And the last one, which might be the most powerful one, is what's between the ears. How can we shift our emotions to help us break through that weight loss plateau? One of them I like to talk about is what I call application apathy. we have to be careful not to get apathetic about applying all these rules. You know, it truly is a daily process. Just like we brush our teeth every day, it doesn't change, right? We have to eat and exercise according to the principles of how our body operates, right? So make sure that application apathy is not part of your emotional, energy. So consistency over time, that's the winning formula. Applying these consistently and doing it over and over and over and over again, knowing that your weight loss plateau is something to be celebrated. It's a plateau. You're going to move on from there. So you just keep applying the principles. And this one, I know it got me in the past. I call it enthusiasm. No, I got it wrong. It's called excessive enthusiasm. We can end up celebrating. We get elated when we see the scale, under our feet start to drop. There's an elation that happens, right? But then what happens when that scale stops moving? Oh my gosh, the elated energy becomes deflated energy. So we can become excessively enthused, but it's really about unrealistic expectations. Keep your expectations kind of matter of fact. Keep this energy inside of you even keeled. Don't allow yourself to get too excited, because the other side of that's going to be too deflated. Okay, so keep yourself in that even keel. Understand that weight loss is a journey. Results can happen quickly, but change takes time, and it takes repetition over time, consistency over time. Okay, well, that concludes our Breaking That Weight Loss Plateau video. And if you found anything interesting in this, if you could like and share it, that would be very helpful in getting this information out. So many of you put all this effort out, and you deserve to reach your reward. So if you need any help with any of your weight loss, plateaus or problems, progress, just go to shiftformula.com and I'll see you inside.